On March 10, 2019, a Boeing aircraft crashed shortly after takeoff. 157 people were killed. Tewolde Gebremariam, the CEO of Ethiopian Airlines, stood at the crash site that same day. That morning, before any regulator in the world had issued a single order, he grounded every Boeing 737 MAX in Ethiopian Airlines fleet. On August 5, 2026, the Tata Group has appointed that same man as the new CEO and Managing Director of Air India, an airline that is still waiting for the final investigation report into the crash that killed 260 people last year. This is not a coincidence, it seems as a very deliberate choice. Let's set the scene. Campbell Wilson became Air India's CEO when Tata took over in January 2022. He led the airline through its initial turnaround, the Vistara merger, the 4-star Skytrax rating, 100 new aircraft, NPS going from -35 to nearly +40. He resigned in April 2026. His notice period ends September 30th. After a global search evaluating both internal and external candidates, the board announced Tewolde Gebremariam as CEO and Managing Director on August 5th. He officially started on August 6th. This is who they picked, and once you understand his story, you'll understand exactly why they did so. Let's break it down. Part 1. Who is Tewolde Gebremariam? Tewolde joined Ethiopian Airlines in 1985 as a traffic officer in Addis Ababa. He spent the next 37 years at that one airline, working his way through cargo handling, area management, and regional director roles. He ran Ethiopian's India and Southeast Asia business from Mumbai in the mid-1990s, so he knows India well. He has lived here. In 2004, he became head of sales and marketing. In 2006, chief operations officer, and in 2011, group CEO. What followed is one of the most remarkable runs in modern aviation history. Under his leadership, Ethiopian Airlines revenue grew from $1 billion to $4.5 billion. The fleet grew from 33 to 130 aircraft. Passengers went from 3 million to 12 million annually. He grew the airline into Africa's largest and most profitable carrier. Not just profitable, but extraordinarily disciplined. During COVID, Ethiopian managed record cash reserves, did not accept a single rupee of government bailout, and did not lay off a single employee. Instead, he converted passenger aircraft to carry cargo and kept the airline running when the rest of the world's aviation was paralyzed. He retired in March 2022 citing health reasons. Since then, he has advised Delta Airlines on international business and the World Bank's International Finance Corporation on aviation investment in emerging markets. Part 2. Why this appointment makes sense. The board wanted a leader with experience in large-scale airline turnarounds, operational excellence, safety, customer service, and profitable expansion. Look at that list against Tewolde's record. Every single point is covered, not theoretically, but with the actual proof from a decade of results at Ethiopian Airlines. But here is the deeper reason Tata chose him. The job Tewolde faces at Air India is formidable. He must restore confidence in its safety after a crash last year that killed 260 people, stem losses, modernize an aging fleet, and navigate Pakistan's ban on Indian carriers using its airspace. Doing all of this amidst a global crisis in the Middle East. The gravest crisis Tewolde handled as a CEO came on March 10, 2019, when Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 went down shortly after takeoff from Addis Ababa, killing 157 people. He grounded the remaining 737 MAX jets the same day, ahead of orders by regulators in China and the US. He stood at the crash site, he faced the families, he faced the global media, and he kept the airline together through the aftermath. Air India had a crash in June 2025. The investigation is still open. Families are still waiting, and the airline needs a leader who has been through exactly this kind of pressure and come out the other side with the airline intact. That is Tewolde Gebremariam. Part 3. What he actually walks into. Now the honest picture of what he inherits. Air India and its budget arm lost over $2 billion, which is roughly 22,000 crore rupees in the last financial year. Tata Sons chairman N. Chandrasekaran has said that the airline is now entering a critical execution and expansion era, which is his way of saying the easy part is done and now the hard part begins. Air India has cut international flights as Pakistan's airspace ban and the West Asia conflict have lengthened routes and raised fuel costs. The airline that was supposed to be Air India's great comeback on international routes is now flying longer, costlier paths to Europe and North America. The Vistara merger is complete, the fleet commitments are in place, and the 4-star rating has been achieved. What now needs to happen is making the transformation work at scale. For passengers, that means it will increasingly be judged not by how many new planes Air India orders, but by whether the flight departs on time, whether the cabin crew is trained, whether the food is good, and whether your bag arrives when you do. That is the harder work, and it is exactly what he is known for. The board was clear that the focus is shifting towards making the transformation work at scale. So Wilson built the scaffolding and now Tewolde has to build the building. Part 4. The parallel nobody is missing. Step back and look at what just happened in Indian aviation in the space of just 1 week. Indigo got Willie Walsh, the man who built British Airways into a global powerhouse and who ran the biggest airline group in Europe. Air India got Tewolde Gebremariam, the man who turned Ethiopian Airlines from a small African carrier into a global aviation force with $4.5 billion in revenue. India's 2 largest airlines are now led by globally recognized aviation executives, both appointed within days of each other and both with decades of international experience. And both facing different versions of the same challenge. How do you build a truly global Indian airline? So Chandrasekaran called this a critical execution and expansion era. Walsh called India's wide-body shortage a scandal. Tewolde built a hub in Addis Ababa that now connects Africa to the world, something that Air India is trying to do from Delhi and Mumbai. The 2 men will compete directly on international routes. Indigo and Air India are both going after Gulf passengers, Indian diaspora traffic and long-haul connectivity. 2 world-class operators in the same market with 2 different airlines. Indian aviation has never had a head-to-head like this at the top. Now, what it means for you. For Air India passengers, the appointment signals that Tata is serious about the next phase. Not just buying planes and repainting them, but actually running the airline the way a world-class carrier should be run. Tewolde's specific strengths, operational discipline, cost control, safety culture, training are exactly what Air India's passengers have complained about most on older aircraft and domestic routes. If he applies the same rigor that he brought to Ethiopian Airlines, the experience will improve, not immediately. Chandrasekaran himself has said a full turnaround could take 5 to 10 years, but the direction is right. Tewolde will formally take charge when Campbell Wilson's notice period ends on September 30th. That is when his decisions start showing up in your booking experience. Watch the domestic routes first, that is where the experience gap is the widest and where Tewolde's operational instincts will be the most visible. Air India has its new CEO, a man who stood at a crash site in 2019 and grounded a fleet the same day, who built Africa's biggest airline from scratch, who lived in Mumbai, who knows what a difficult operating environment looks like from the inside. Tata has made a statement with this appointment. The question is whether the airline can execute on it. Here is what I want to know from you. Do you think Tewolde Gebremariam is the right choice for Air India, or should Tata have promoted from within and given an Indian executive the chance? Tell me in the comments. New video every Thursday at 7 p.m. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.